So I'm here with former co-host, always welcome guest, Minifigure Folks.
Yeah.
And this is his first time in Brickfair, Virginia. And Zach, I just want to get your thoughts on it.
It's a wild madhouse, but it's pretty organized. So I think it's going to be a good time. And I'm just happy to see people.
And you,
Especially you, Brett.
aw.
Aw.
But you got to see some new faces too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was able to meet a few faces on Instagram, and I don't know. That's my favorite part of it, honestly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How you feel about the new ticket system?
I think we're getting better and better each time. It seemed to make a step in the right direction. So, yeah, one day we'll be, just be able to walk out and we can charge you before you even leave the convention. It'll be like those Amazon.
A CB app.
A CB
We
app.
do your orders ahead of time.
Yeah, we'll just like tracking devices and all the figs. And
So
you
it's
can
like
walk out
DoorDash for
wherever
Citizen Brick.
I don't know where this goes.
Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Big Bad Figcast. My name is Brett, also known as Geek Over 40, and yeah, we're back. We're back. Promise, we're back. It's been a while. It's been a few months. We're gonna go over what's been happening since and what we're trying to do in the future. But first, we're here to talk about Brickfair. It just happened earlier this month, Brickfair 2024, and to do that, I brought in two brand new guest hosts to help me go over their experiences. I had a good time talking with them. You guys might know them on Instagram as Elkkthunder and Jonny Boombricks. Gentlemen, go ahead and say hello.
What's up, guys?
So before we get started into the nooks and crannies of all this, Jonny, do you want to go ahead and just for those who don't know who you are, just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Jonny Boombricks. I've been on Instagram just for probably almost a year and a half or something like that. I was collecting Lego for quite a few years before I got into the custom scene with Citizen Brick and custom superheroes and all that kind of stuff. Really had just been doing the official stuff with my kids up until that point. Used to be a designer in a past life, and so when I started to see the detail that was in these custom figs and some of the crazy stuff that Joe at Citizen Brick is doing, I just fell in love. And fig barfing and these figures is kind of where I'm focused. So it's been a really fun ride, and getting to know people in this community has been unexpected joy in my life.
And you say a designer in a past life, but I would say in your current life, because one of my biggest joys when I post something new, Jonny has taken himself on as like the guy to make everyone's post look better by always adding his own unique text and title treatments when he posts your post to his stories. So if there's any reason to follow Jonny, it's alone. It's just to see what kind of cool stuff he pops up with when he takes your work and then adds his own little panache to it. I've always enjoyed it. I've literally planned posts thinking, man, I wonder what Johnny's going to do with this. No pressure. But all right.
I do the best I can with the Instagram tools.
Yeah, exactly. So so again, in addition to Jonny here, we have Jeremy, also known as Elkkthunder. Jeremy, if you want to go ahead and say hi and introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. So I would say for me and my Lego journey, it started a little bit in 2013 with the Mr. Gold CMF and my kids liking blind bags. So my son was into it, got dad back into it. My first CB purchase was back in 2015. So I'm a pre-pandemic guy. And then I sort of delved into customs, especially with Iron Man and Lamb 9, and sort of spread my wings from there. Not a big poster usually, but hitting in Brick World the last 2 years and Brick Fair for a couple of years and starting to meet people is getting me a little more interested in, trying to be creative and trying to get myself out there. So glad to be here.
Now, I appreciate you being here. Now, I think this is the oldest ensemble cast we've had for an episode so far. Because I'm pushing 47. Jonny, you're at what?
51.
Jeremy?
44.
Yeah, this is the old man podcast. I love this. So you say, Jeremy, you're thinking about getting into the creative stuff. Have you been watching the recent? Zach Minifigure Folks has been doing the Elements Fig Barf competition. Have you been watching that at all, or have you participated?
Yeah, I've participated. I actually did all 4 weeks. I mean, it's taken me a lot of effort and creativity to dig through bins, and that's not usually the way I operate. I tend to sort of buy the stuff that I like for what I call PC or personal collection, and end up just putting it in my totes and sort of keeping it and bringing it out occasionally. And so I was digging through bins and tackle boxes and trying to come up with creative things. So it's pushed me out of a little bit of my normal comfort zone to post more, but we'll see where it goes.
So I didn't realize you did all four. I thought I only saw like two of them. I have to go look back and look. And Johnny, you've also, I know you did this, Johnny, I know you did air because I loved your air entry, the one that looks like he's just kind of soaring above the clouds.
Yeah, I did 6 entries. Actually, I did 2 for air, 2 for earth, and then 1 each for water and fire. It's just this contest just really spoke to me. It's been a lot of fun. So I think at this point we've all entered all 4, so we all have the secret prompt,
Yeah.
and that will have been revealed by the time the podcast airs, I'm assuming.
Yeah, which was, it's Aerith, right? It's not Aerith. No, Aerith is from Final Fantasy VII.
Ether?
What's
I think.
Ether?
I don't
Excuse
even
me.
know
Yeah.
if you got to sum it up in a word.
Yeah. And he posted
It's
some.
a complex
So
one.
let's roll it back a second because we really haven't explained the contest. So Minifigure Folks, for those who don't know, is an amazing fig barfer, and for those not new to who are new to the term fig barf, it's when you take multiple pieces from different. I wouldn't even say just minifigures. Some people take actual like weapons or building blocks, and you barf it all together. It's kind of like bleh, fig barf into a pile, and you make something new, and creative out of it. So Zach had made a contest which was centered one week. Each week was centered around a different element, earth, wind, water, fire. I honestly thought the final prompt was going to be hard. I thought he was going to Captain Planet this thing, but because I was recommending to him saying, hey, we should have Captain Planet made by CB, do like the Don Cheadle version. I thought that'd be really a lot of fun. But so yeah, he said ether. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might break out the fog in a can, see what I can come up with. But I'm lost.
I'm still thinking. Yeah, I'm not sure
I've
what
been
I'm
lost
doing
on all
yet.
of them until the last minute. So we'll see how it goes.
Tighter timeline on this one.
Yeah, it was a great experience. And if you're someone like me that doesn't like taking things apart, but you want to, this really broke me out of my shell. And of course, I put everything back together. But at least it's now captured on film. And
I don't know, man. I think I would leave a couple of those figs you did together.
no, because I'm using all superhero
pretty nice
customs. Actually, I used the Jin Ultron fig twice now. One fig bar for fire, I used the chest and one of the arms, and then for the recent one for air, I used the legs. So
Nice.
what's cool is the talons for Jin's vulture fig actually fit right on top of the feet of the Ultron legs. So it's just like metal on metal, and it looks really, really cool. But okay, so so that's what's going on with us right now. We're busy stressing our fig barfs, and again, the contest will probably be over by the time this airs, since we just got the secret prompt today. It's due tomorrow. CB Day is tomorrow. We're going to talk about that and our expectations for that during this episode. As far as future episodes for the podcast, I've been posting a lot on Instagram lately. I'm the pendulum swinging back to podcasts. Tracy Minifigs is lined up. Crosscheck is lined up. Those will probably be the 2 I'm going to pursue next. Of course, the doors are always open, or my ears are always open. If you have any suggestions or things you'd like to talk to me about regarding the podcast for episodes, feel free to send me a DM. Also, Atlas, Bricks, and several of the Benson Bone and Anon figs. I'm going to get these guys on there shortly. A lot of the guys who do handcrafted painted figures. I had a lot of great talks with them. So the list is long, but basically we're going to continue what we had posted last year. Still got a lot of folks lined up, and we're going to bring decalers on and talk to some new decalers like David Bricks, and she's great. And I hope to have her on as well as a few others. All right. That being said, we're going to go ahead and move into the crux of what we were coming here to talk about, which is Brick Fair. I'm going to do that a lot, by the way. I confuse the two all the time. Brick Fair happens in Herndon, Virginia, or Chantilly, Virginia, at the Dallas Expo Center every August. Myself was there. Johnny and Jeremy were there. So were many, many, many others. But the question I did ask those people that I ran into, they are the same questions I'm going to ask you too. How far did you travel, and how long did it take you to get here?
Yeah, so I just live about an hour and change north of Chantilly up in Maryland. So not too bad for me. I didn't have to stay at the hotel or anything. Just got up early each morning and came down. Was not able to come for every day, but I came Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And Jeremy?
Come from right around the suburb of Buffalo, New York, a little north of Buffalo. So we're about a 7-hour drive, a little over 400 miles. And my family and I, we've been making the voyage, all of us for 3 years, myself for 4 years. And we've got, some little stops along the way we usually do. But we came in on Wednesday and we left Monday.
You also drive from Buffalo to Chicago for Brick World, or you fly?
So the 2 times I've went to Brick World, I have driven both ways once. The one time I drove out with a fellow lug member, and then I flew myself back.
Wow. How long of a drive is that?
It's about 9.
Oh, that's not bad at all, considering I was going to say, because I'm in Virginia, so I live about 35 minutes from where Brick Fair takes place. So obviously also I did not have to use the hotel. But that's 9 hours. Wow. Because even to get to Florida from where I am is 12 hours. My geography sucks. But all right. Well, so you stayed at the hotel. How was that?
I don't actually stay at the hotel. We're right in front of the expo center. And so for various reasons between, family and perks, we stay less than a mile away at one of these fancier, not more expensive for what it's worth, suite type hotels where we get the full kitchen, family room, 2 bedrooms. So, me and wife and son in the other, and it actually offers way more luxuries, and it's about a maybe 12-minute walk and literally a 3-minute drive. So it's worth the extra conveniences we get.
You're fancy. Now, I know, Jeremy, you were there every day. I was there every day. When we say every day, so basically Brick Fair has the public days of Saturday and Sunday. And then, but there are these early days. These are the days where people that are displaying their mocks show up, where the vendors show up to get set up. And then those vendors who do get set up generally do sell to the people that have paid those early admission. You can actually buy an early admission ticket as if you were presenting a mock, but not actually display, because they'll take your money. They don't care. So that's what I did last year. I did display last year. This year, no, I didn't have to, and I'm just time constraints. I didn't bother, but I did pay for the early admission. And because I do feel it's worth it, because basically Wednesday you show up, you just walk around, you stare at everybody who's struggling to bring giant containers from their cars in through the parking lot. And then, I think I walked in, I think Joe was setting up on, I think it was late Wednesday. He was just bringing stuff in, and then, and then did he sell on Thursday? No, he sold on Friday, right?
He sold on Thursday and Friday.
Thursday was the bins. Friday was the real deal stuff. So yeah, so Thursday he does an informal. Joe at Citizen Break did an informal sale where he brings out the bins of all the scraps and pieces that you can go through, and that was a very calm, organized event. Those who may not be familiar, last year I did shoot a video where it got a little chaotic, and it got 2.6 million views as the time of this recording, of everyone just kind of rushing Joe. That did not happen at all this year. We'll get into that. But everything was nice and organized. Everyone's helping each other out. People, I remember poor Billy was sleeping on the floor because he was so tired.
I think Saturday was the day he released all the figures. That was when we had the line.
That was when he had the lines. And then also he wasn't the only vendor that was doing this. There was K-Town had his stuff coming out, and Eclipse, Victor had a whole giant. I mean, honestly, I was thinking about this today. Victor had I don't think a very good position in the convention center, but he had a great length of real estate, so he could display so much stuff, and people could see everything that was available without bunching up. I just think I'm paranoid from a security standpoint. I was worried you can't possibly see at the end of the other table what people are doing, but it's an honor code, and generally everyone's pretty on the nose and honest about how these things go. Nobody's gonna want to steal from anybody because they'll get called out publicly pretty fast. That one thing that was different this year is they actually, now the Expo Center is broken into 2 sections normally. The bigger of the 2 is where all the mocks are, and then on the left side you go through this little doorway area, and that's where usually they have all the vendors. This year they mixed it up, so they had the vendors in the back of the bigger area, and then the left side was all mocks, as well as the front, middle, and front of the bigger area. And I was talking to Joe about this, and I guess there was a lot of vendors that were complaining that they didn't feel they were getting the business because they were so shoehorned in this one little section, and a lot of people weren't even seeing it or going in there. So now them being in the back, they felt they were going to get a lot more traction. And sure enough, CB had they were on a corner of a major thoroughfare, and the K-Town was like right next to them. So I think they got like the best spots in the house, and then across from them was Abby Dabbles and a few others. And so yeah, I think it worked out. I think they definitely got more visibility in that regard. I don't know. Did you guys shop anywhere besides Citizen Brick?
Yeah, I got some stuff from K-Town, got some stuff from a couple things from Brick Tactical, got some stuff from Eclipse.
Yeah,
and I checked out some of I think I got some of the little lighting kits from somebody. I can't remember the name of the place, but
I'd say similar. I did K-Town for their unexpected Monty Python stuff, surprised me. So I grabbed
yeah, those are cool.
The Black Knight. I grabbed the Rabbit, some of the stuff that he dropped online. I grabbed
King
a little
Arthur's
bit.
really nice.
Yeah, I grabbed a misprint of Arthur and the Black Knight too. That was pretty cool. A little bit of Eclipse, and then a few other hodgepodge vendors here and there. I still collect some, Lego minifigures and stuff. So if I found a good deal out there and it was undervalued, I'd snag it.
Did you find a good deal? Because I feel like that's the place to find prices bloated for regular official minifigures and sets.
Yeah, I think overall, if you hunt and peck, you can find some deals out there. Those guys don't know everything. And, sometimes you'll find if you know your minifigure game a little bit, I think you can hunt and peck. And if you've got a hole in your collection, especially on the non-public days, they'll nickel and dime a little bit and you can sort of banter back and forth. And I got a few little deals on a fig here and there.
There was one guy, they had a table. This was a very interesting setup. I've never seen this before. It was a giant table full of base plates of figs. And you kind of enter in through the gated area and you just kind of walk around and pick up. I think it was like I can't remember the prices, but it was like, every fig is $5 or something like that. I'm like, there are some figs in there that were worth a lot more than that. And I think that's the only spot I felt that he probably just he knew he'd be better off by selling it, high volume, high quantity.
I don't think all that stuff was new. I think that's so your mileage may vary in terms of condition in there. Because I walked in there a little bit and I saw one of the things and I was like, oh, that looks cool. I went and picked it up and I'm like,
well, I'm glad you did that because I feel like the one thing I didn't like is I wasn't very conducive for browsing because there's this pressure to keep the line moving. So if you were to grab one and you don't take the time because you feel like because you got all these kids behind you or you got people trying to film it or whatever. So I don't know if that was a conscious choice to set up that way because they knew that would, get some shittier figs out of the way. I thought it was still kind of neat. I still saw some things in there that if I hadn't already spent a ton of money elsewhere, I would have probably picked up a few official things for barfing purposes.
I think the major reason he did that over time actually is security. He can stand at the front, the in and out, and he can watch people, and he knows if someone's walking out with a pile of figs. And so
that's a very good point.
Going back a few years, that was not his setup, and I think he's evolved over time.
I think that's kind of a fun thing for kids to do. Anybody that's a kid at heart, to go in and just build something. Not everybody's deep into the fig barfing like we are, looking for these like specific parts and stuff. And so it's just, I don't know, it activates the fun of Lego again for people.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't care about Lego figs in the superhero world. I will say this. I was looking at, I watched a YouTube review just yesterday talking about the new Dreams figures. The ones where it's like the good guys versus bad guys or like evil versions. Those are some really nice looking figs just from design standpoint. And I think I'm going to pick them up just because, again, for barf purposes, certainly cheaper than trying to find misprint pieces for CB to have something, in the tackle box to pull from. But in terms of like if I wanted a Marvel figure or a DC figure, I really have no interest in what Lego has. Like I still have yet to buy my Avengers Tower. I'm probably actually going to do that later this month. Almost 95% of those figs are going to go on my Brickling shop as soon as I open the box because I just don't care. I'll keep the Vision fig until Jocko finally releases their damn Age of Ultron Vision fig, which they've been promising forever. But other than that, I really have no interest. So I felt that helped me curb my spending a little bit. Saying that, knowing what I spent at CB and K-Town and again, Brick Tactical and Eclipse myself, I picked up things at Eclipse I wasn't planning on picking up. I picked up a Lucy in the bride dress. I thought it was really nice. As someone who tries to focus on pad, I still think it was a really good print job. And Victor really did a great job getting the prints on that really, really clean. And he deserves full credit for that. And For tactical, I picked up some weapons. I have a minigun for my Punisher figure, and one of the bullet links broke, so I just picked up a whole new minigun. And props to them, they weren't charging inflated prices. Some vendors, they tend to charge more at the event, but what was online and what was in person was exactly the same. And I made a note to remember that. So I really respect the fact that they did that.
I think
Yeah, their prices those things are really reasonable.
I think
Sorry,
like
Jeremy, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think like CB, Eclipse, Brick Tactical, K-Town, their prices at cons are almost identical to online, right? It's those other vendors out there that it's like I could go buy this off the shelf today for 20, but you've got the show premium of 25, right? And that's the part that I find a little bit hard for the family coming in, right? It's one where especially on those public days, right? We're all here to have a good time, enjoy our Lego, but they sort of rake those people over the coals sometimes, unfortunately. But that's
Oh
business.
yeah, and then some of them get offended when they try to get haggled with. And I know you know what I'm talking about. There's that one guy. He's got like everything's got a different color circle sticker on it.
Is that
I don't know.
Victoria's Secret?
That's a cool name. I don't know the name specifically, but I remember somebody was asking him, would you take this much? He's like, I went through a lot of effort to figure out my prices, and that's why they're labeled the way they are. I was just like, dude,
Yeah.
it's a family event. Relax. Just be like, sorry, man, I got to cover my overhead or something. Just a nicer ways to say it. Or maybe you could have said something like, well, hey, look, if you pick up a few other things, maybe we can talk. I don't know. I understand they're under a lot of pressure. They've got a lot of people. They're trying to watch for sticky fingers from these little kids that don't know any better and parents that aren't watching them. So I get it. It's just, I think if you're doing that for a living and you're doing it often, you should probably be getting to a group at some point where you know how to handle questions like that in a more professional manner. But because it is a bit chaotic, and it's probably even a bit aggravating knowing that like 75-80% of the people looking at your stuff, they're not going to buy. They're just looking.
I think for me, the other place I found good deals was the garage sales, and again, so I think that's the perk where, as an exhibitor and attendee, right, they do 2 garage sales after hours. And I mean, that's where the deals sometimes can be had. And that's where the good vintage stuff comes out. I mean, if you're a collector of, old Lego or even customs, that stuff was out there. And, I scored some things that I ended up trading and, elevating what I wanted. And I found some cool, rare things I've never seen. And I tend to save a little bit of money on the side after CB for the garage sale.
I've yet to do the garage sale. I really want to. Next year, I'll probably participate.
How long does that last? I mean, I think I've never been able to do that either. I had to cut out. We had family in town, so I had to cut out before that started. And I was kind of bummed. I wanted to do that this year.
It's definitely a haul. I think the first one is, I think, Thursday evening. It's like 2.5, 3 hours. And then they do on Saturday, and that's another 2.5, 3 hours. And I mean, different people, you've got to sign up for tables. And so, you might see different people bringing out the same different things, or the same people with the same stuff minus whatever they sold at the first one. But I mean, I don't know. There was definitely some custom stuff out there. But there's also, if you're looking for parts and pieces to do, customs or whatever, that's out there too. So I think it's worth it. You got to at least hit it once.
Do you feel there's a psychology behind it in that you're probably more likely to sell something there because it's in hand, the deal's going to be made right now, as opposed to going online through Instagram or even through the Geek Exchange where you're negotiating and you have to mail it and all that stuff? Do you feel like people pull the trigger more easily because it's, again, right in front of their face?
I think you've got a bigger audience right out of the gate, right? I mean, I think they sell tables, I think 8-foot tables by the half. And so you could buy a half or a whole. And I think there's like 100 tables, right? So, I mean, you've just got a huge amount of vendors, and then you've got all the participants. 1,400 some people were there as registered, I think. So, going through, you get a huge captive audience, and that's what they're there for, right? And so, I think you tend to find better deals there, but I also think you tend to find, I mean, I know I got, the sort of Mexico factory figs that aren't out yet. I got a Link and I got a, Jack Skellington. I've had those for a month. Those sets aren't even out yet. And so,
wow.
I mean, some of that stuff was there. And so you got to know some of the people, and some of this is the whatnotters and stuff are there selling their wares. But, if you're friends of a friend and know the right person, you can be like, hey, you got that? And you can find some of that stuff.
And also, people are still getting it. They're just not selling it online anymore.
Maybe. I know 2 stories I've gotten from the garage sale this year. Bloomosaurus. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a great guy. He scored at the garage sale like we're talking like first year Citizen Brick commission fig. I think I can't remember if it was a race car driver or something, but it's like even Joe's like, I don't think I have one of those.
Wow.
It's so old, and he didn't even know. No, was it a Google? It was a Citizen. It was a CB fig that was a commission for somebody, but he didn't even know it was CB until Joe told him that. He was just showing him what he got, and Joe's like, "Yeah, I made that." So that was insane. And then I heard about some guy that was going around with his wife who had like a fat wad of cash, and he was just like, "Take that, I'm taking that, I'm taking that, I'm taking that." And she's just handing out the cash, just doling it out left and right. And he's like, "How much is that?" 200. I'll give you 150. No, never mind. Boom. No, wait, come back. 50 sold. Boom, 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 boom. So I heard there were these fat cats that go out there and they just maybe they're buying it for their whatnot auctions or whatever. But I thought that would be a sight to see.
Yeah, I think I didn't see him as much this year. I didn't see that action, but I know other years, sort of the Amazon third party kind of guys, they'll go around with like a wagon and they'll just bundle, gift with purchase, so that stuff that, nobody really wants or they got too many of. They'll fill boxes, and their whole reason they're doing that is they're building inventory, right? And so there's definitely some resellers, those people that are, doing that for their hustle. But I'll say, like, I know I bought a Toda 9-volt train track for a lug member. I mean, deal on 9-volt track for this guy that's a train fan back home. I got the gold, remember the gold coins, the pirate coins, the 10, 20, 30, 40 that come in the little sprue, if you remember the classic pirates. Someone had a sprue of 16 of those as they came out of the injector and chromed. And I said, that's a cool little piece of nostalgia that I'll probably never see again. And so I grabbed like that. I like some of that, like, novelty stuff, the marbled stuff, some of that random stuff that makes it out of the factories. And so I thought that was a cool piece.
Oh, yeah. Those things are kind of cool to have.
All right. Next year, I'm going to commit myself to the garage sale.
Definitely.
I remember my back was killing me. My feet were tired. I was just like, man, I want to go home.
It's tiring to be in that environment for a long.
And you're staying on concrete the whole day. I wore my nicest running shoes, biggest cushions on them, or whatever, and then you had your backpack on all day, and just like, I used to be able to do this. I don't know what happened. It got old. But in addition to the garage sale, there are other social activities. There are other games. Did you guys participate in any of those?
Didn't get to do that this year either. I wish I was planning to, but this was the first year I went that I felt like I knew you last year, Brett, or we had talked a little bit online, but going to the Citizen Brick booth this year was a really different experience after a year kind of in that community. So I feel like I spent most of my time hanging out with those people versus the year before. I'm like, oh, I'll go fill some of my time with some of these build activities or something. But yeah, so I didn't make it to any of those this year.
I'll say for me, the family, we do the opening ceremony, closing ceremonies. They do prize giveaways, like new sets. They just do it like raffle style. Opening ceremonies does a bingo. So like, wife, son, and I are there playing bingo, and like they give out, high-end sets. Eventually they work their way up from the $5 junk to the $200 kind of sets. I was there with a few people from our local lug, so hung out there a little bit. But some years I've done parts drafts where you sort of break down the set and get a bunch of parts and use them. They do the white elephant kind of gift, the dirty brickster, I think they call it. I didn't do it this year. I did it last year. You bring a gift, you wrap it, and you do the pass and exchange. And so there's definitely some fun community events. I didn't tackle a ton of them this year either. I'd say between CB stuff and hanging out with some lug people and, family things, your time goes fast.
Yeah. I saw also there was, they have the little brick building speed competitions. And of course, I've always enjoyed watching the kids participate in the bridge building contest to see how much weight it can support before it collapses.
Yeah.
That's always fun. I think the number one competition that was or social activity worth bringing up, and we don't have anyone here that represented that participated. Jeremy, I don't think you didn't participate in the modding competition, did you? No.
Nope.
So yeah, no. So Brick Arms organized with Brick. So last year I've shot a video, and I said it was my favorite part of Brick Fair was watching all the modders. And when I say modders, I mean the folks that they take all these different unique military weapons or military gear, they cut them up, they glue it together, they paint, they polish, they Some pin, some don't. I know it's a point of contention. They're pieces together and to create new creations that are either fantastical or realistic or more true to life. If you see my recent posts from Instagram, the Agent 47 Hitman, those pistols were modded by Robbie G Lego. He did an excellent job and gave me those silencers I can put in his ballers. Last year, those modders were regulated to like finding an empty table where they can just hang out and work together and share and talk and mod on their own volition. And then they get kicked out of that space when it was needed for something else more official. This year, they had a dedicated space and several hours dedicated to an official competition where they were given themes. They won prizes by Brick Arms. And, Robbie G was showing me how they were these cool, packs that were branded for Brickfair and everything that had all these parts. They're all given the same parts. They're saying, hey, your theme right now is post-apocalyptic. You've got 1 hour, see what you got. And I thought that was, and I wanted to stay and watch more of it. I really did. But to your point, Jonny, I kept finding myself gravitating, hanging around the CB booth. I'm going to say the CB K-Town booth because I kept going back and forth, because the difference a year makes, right? Last year, I knew maybe 2 or 3 people that were going to be there. This year, I had people running up to me, introducing themselves because they recognized me or I recognized them. And we just start chatting. And I spent so much time socializing that I didn't spend on any time at all, really. I didn't even do a full tour of the facility and seeing all the mocks put on display because I was so wrapped up in talking to people. And that's not a complaint by any means. I spent 2 hours just sitting in the area where the hand-painted folks are, where BBS Bricks and Machinera, some Atlas Bricks and Anon, and there's so many of them I can't even keep track, that just talking and shooting the shit. And I think the only mocks I really focused on were like Brick Anthropologist and her Pee Wee Playhouse and Ficken Bricks and his Space and Foxy Block Strip Club mock. Those are the only 2 I really kept finding myself going back towards because I was talking to them. And so going early, you'd think you'd have more time to walk around, like especially when you go early and there's no crowds. You can freely walk around with your phone taking videos and not worrying about getting anybody's way or worrying about people taking their own photos and you're blocking their way. It's really nice in the non-public days to do that. But again, I found myself being so social, more so than ever before, that 1, it's mentally draining, but 2, it's just distracting. And that whole menagerie of activities you could participate in, the bingo, the modding, all that stuff. I wish I could either witnessed it more or participated more, but I was having a lot of fun just talking to people.
No, and I think that's the community part, right? That's the part, whether you're a CB guy or you're a GBC guy or a train guy, right? You go around and you hang out or you talk to like-minded people. And I think it's one where I think for me, this is my 4th time going, displaying something. The first time I went coming out of COVID by myself, I knew Ficken Bricks. We're both local to Buffalo area, but we didn't like have a lug yet even, or like we weren't a group. And so we were sort of scattered across and be like, hey, how's it going? And I think the thing over time, if you really, start to do those mocks and hang out with your local people, but also make those connections to other lugs, looking for CB buried in lugs, looking for some of that stuff. And all of a sudden you find out, there's the people that are the CB fans, but they're building mocks too, right? I mean, they've got stuff out on display. I know that's happened at Brick World as well, but I think it's a place where, starting to put more of that stuff into builds because it works, right? And so I think, for the Foxy Blocks place, that's, it's obviously that was Joe's original, club and sort of enhanced with some lights and motors and sounds. And, that was, it's combining all those things together to make that passion for all of us.
So speaking of Joe and CB, let's talk about the drop. That was fun.
That was great fun.
And that was not sarcasm. That was a lot of fun. Again, in reflection of last year's chaos, Joe had implemented a new system where you basically take a number, like you're at the butcher, take a number and you stand in line, and you then wait your turn. You show up, you pick 2 figs off the display, and then you can take another number and go to the back of the line if you so choose. You were allowed to go back at the line as many times as you want. Joe's not going to turn down any money, and and it's just a matter of how long while it can last. Now, some folks like myself, my son was with me, and so I had 4 figs per line for a choice, which was great. My wife was going to come, but she works night shift and she was just exhausted, and it wasn't worth it for her to come out and be tired. So I just let her stay home and do her thing. But probably for the best too, because I would have just spent more money. I don't know. Did you guys enjoy it? Did you have an overall positive experience?
Yeah, I thought it was great just being in the line, talking with people, seeing what they got. I felt like the ticketing system was way better than, you know, after Joe kind of like organized it and just said get in a line last year, it wasn't too bad, but it's like you want to have a conversation with somebody afterward. You want to be able to have that conversation. You don't want to be like, oh, I have to go like get my spot in line again. And so taking the number, you're going to go be able to get in line with that number and get in the proper spot. So that was nice, I think, for socializing. But yeah, I thought it worked well, with the exception of, you saw a couple people coming through where they were just getting ready to. It was really obvious they're just gonna put it right up on eBay. Like somebody was in a suit or something at one point, and it's like, what do you do not you dress like the rest of the people here?
Oh, the guy in the suit. Yeah, I knew he was sweating, man. He tried to be cool, but yeah, I know he was sweating his ass off. No, I'd asked about him, and I just kind of got to look like, yeah, whatever, man. Don't worry about him. Someone trying to do something that didn't work out in their favor.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the numbers that was interesting is some folks walked away. I guess they didn't realize how fast the number system was going to go through. Because you had your indecisive people, sure, that were like, as soon as Joe put the things on display, we were taking pictures through the plastic, trying to figure out what they were. And they took the plastic off for us, and then we started taking photos and sharing them online, so in case people that were shopping for others. But I know there were a few times where like they would go through all the A's, right? Like say like my first ticket was A24, which was hilarious since Joe has a history with that studio A24. I wound up giving the ticket to Brenna BC Bricks because she wanted it as a memento. But so like we're at like get B26, and here comes A72 who missed his turn. And I gotta say, one thing that was a little disappointing was there was a mentality of you snooze, you lose. I personally was like, hey man, just get in front of me. It's fine. You missed your turn. And so there was a couple times where the guy was like, yeah, I asked a few people, they wouldn't let me in. That was a little disappointing. I think there's still that residual FOMO, not worrying about the amount of quantity that's available. But Joe had told us that he brought more for us at Brickfair than he did at Brick World. And then he still had a whole allocation set aside for CB Day tomorrow. So I guess that's why I wasn't too pressured in my head about getting anything, because I knew it was going to be available at some point. Also knowing that I had my son with me for his two choices to help out. That had a little bit of a help. Hey, to be fair, I was good. Our first turn, he said, "Can I get a fig?" I was like, "Yes, you can use your turn." And he got a cool fig. He got a white cannibal enthusiast for himself. So yeah,
Nice.
he has good taste. But I gave up one of my turns for him. So, and then I did it so like a second time as well. But so that was a little disappointing, seeing that there were a couple people that they were still new. They obviously weren't hardcore CB people. They just wanted to use their turn, and they were basically being told, get to the back of the line, you missed your spot. And so I know we let them in. I know a couple other people had let some other folks in. I think this only happened to me like 2 or 3 times total. So it wasn't like an epidemic or anything. But I just wish, hopefully in the next year or two, as people again get used to the idea that there's going to be a lot of stock, that they don't get so worried about, Joe Blow nobody is not going to take that fancy colored Louis Vuitton or that. They don't know what's special and what's not. They're just going to get a fig and move on,
Right. Yeah.
Generally,
Yeah. I'm looking at this and I'm like, if there were, 20 of me ahead of me, like all the stuff I wanted would be gone. But like everybody's got their unique taste and the things they like, and CB has such a range of those things that like, people are taking like the Patrick Batemans or whatever, and I'm like, I picked one up for a friend eventually, but I was looking at totally different stuff.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it's the same idea, right? That first 20 people or so, if you were lucky to be in that first run, you were like, okay, what's my top choice, right? And you're hoping the person in front of you doesn't take that choice, and it's the game of strategy. Like, hey, what you got your eye on? No, I don't know. I don't really, because you don't want to be that, I don't want that person in front of me I was number 3. I mean, I got there a little early that day and camped out front and then sort of staked it out and, whatever. I mean, we each have our own things and we could get there when we could. And, I didn't really have something I had to get. It was more of what's going to look the coolest in my collection. Right. And so I'm
Right.
glad
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not a color guy. I don't have to have everything that's, teal, and I pick what I like. So it gives me a little bit more flexibility. And,
Yeah.
after I went through a few times, I was buying for people back home that couldn't make it. So, some of my purchases went right at cost back to people back home.
What did you get? I want to know what you got with that pick.
I picked one of the Cannibal Enthusiasts and I got a white Louis. So,
Yeah,
think
you
I
got
went
you
white-
got the white Louis.
yep,
'Cause
white
that was the
Louis.
one I
And
was eyeing. I didn't even want it. I didn't even think about it. I was just like, look, I'm here. I was here for the lamest shit. What was I calling it? I was there for basic bitch Citizen Brick product. I wanted just the yellow luchador head. I wanted luchador heads each in yellow. I had a list of, it was all yellow head type stuff. And I wanted like one tracksuit person, one cowboy person, all basic bitch shit. And then I saw that small section of really special, nice looking Louis V's and Cannibal Enthusiasts. And I saw the white one. I was like, all right, that's pretty dope. That's available for
That did look good. I mean, that's not one of my favorite designs of theirs, just because at first I'm like, what is this? I didn't even know what it was when they first released that. But it's like it's a cool pattern and stuff. But yeah, I had a chance to get some of those in a misprint, and I was like, no,
What'd you get?
I got
You got a red cannibal too?
red cannibal and a lime green cannibal.
So my son got a white one and I got a red one. And I normally wouldn't even go up for those. Like I said, I had my priorities, but there was only like 2 or 3 red ones. And I thought, all right, that looks really cool.
Yeah, I saw you take one in front of me, and I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be that thing. Brett's gonna take it right in front of me.
If it was near and dear to you, we would have worked out a deal. Don't worry.
Yeah,
But,
I'm not. I've learned not to like sweat this stuff too much. And listening to the podcast, there, it's like it'll come around. You trade for it, or someday the thing will come around again.
Oh yeah,
It's nice to not have to worry about that when you can get right in there. You're paying retail price.
And to Jeremy's point,
Yeah.
there was a lot of psychology going on. People were like, "So what are you going after?" And it's like, "Are you asking because I'm ahead of you, or it was either they were asking because I was ahead of them, and they were afraid I was going to take something, and they want to reallocate their priorities." But for some, they were ahead of me asking what I was going for. I'm like, "What? What do you care? You're going to get ahead of me. You can get what you want." But I could tell they were trying to get it because they wanted to get it because I wanted it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's weird if people want to do that, man. Like, get what you
Yeah.
like. I'm kind of like excited to hear what people are excited about.
Right.
Get you jazzed up and stuff. So I was definitely asking people like what they thought was cool and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, like me, it's
what are you
like
what are you gonna do? Buy it and then try to like get an extra, $20 from them right afterward or something?
Yeah, I got a Patrick Bateman. I got the original version. That's all I wanted. I didn't want a misprint. So, that I felt like, safe from that. But yeah, I could see there was some points where I felt like people who really like to haggle were too busy thinking about what can I get that somebody else wants that I can leverage later
Yeah.
for a
What's
deal.
going to be the valuable thing that's on this display that I can get instead of like, and yeah, I can't play that game. I don't want to play that game. It's like, what am I going to be excited to have in my collection? Like Jeremy was saying, what's going to look good? What can I barf with? Those are the things I went for. But I think second round in, I was buying for other people. So I was like, I've seen the rare things kind of run out, and I had a couple friends that I was going to try to get stuff for. I'm like, I got to get this now or I'm not going to get it,
Yeah.
And I was like totally cool with that because I'm like, I got the 2 things I really wanted were the Cannibal misprints. And I actually ended up getting like a dark tan one later, which was a white one, which was a bonus.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say I left with stuff that, I mean, he had different stuff than Brick World for what it's worth. Like, I mean, there was different misprints there. And so I think it was nice to see that. And I think I, got some of the more stock kind of stuff, the Michael Jackson, the Jordan Zombie, went back through, picked up a few luchadors, the stuff that sort of wasn't there was only 8 or 10 of. And then I think, like you said, helping other people out, grabbing pieces, I think that's, it was very efficient. It was actually more efficient, I think, than Brick World with the ticketing system.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, because there was just like, wasn't there just like a notepad or something that they used and then it
Yeah,
stopped being used?
Brickworld was a notepad for the first line, and I don't think it got 100+ people before it started. And then after, it was just go to the back of the line. He had more of a 3-sided booth, and so you just get back to the line, and you saw people drop out, and you jump in line like you said, but you just grab, oh, that's cool. I just grabbed this, and you'd talk and share, and you'd talk to fellow people or people you didn't even know, and just kept going through. So it was similar, but the ticket system made it a little cleaner.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I had zero stressing. The only time I stressed were the people behind me stressing about the people in front of me making sure they hurry up. I'm like, guys, granted, it's like going to McDonald's and the guy's staring at the menu for like 20 minutes. Like, what's there. Just pick your damn food and move on. But at the same time, the only time I got irritated was like if I was hungry. I was like, look, I want to get some lunch. Can we move this thing along? But generally, I thought it was pretty stress free. I didn't do any shopping personally for anybody else because I really just wanted to focus on. Oh, let me correct that. I didn't do so until Sunday because there was still plenty of figures left over, and the people that I opted to shop for are not as picky. So what I did was like I reached out to like people that I know. Like if I offer to buy you something, don't send me a list of like 8 to 20 different figures with different color characteristics that you want for each figure. I can't keep track of that in my head. I don't care if you send me a list or not. But like I immediately said, you know what? I know Rye was hoping to get hooked up on some stuff. Rye loves green. All he cares about is green. I'm going to the bins. I went through all the bins. I pulled out. I was like, Rye, here's all the green, one of each green thing that was in the bins. What do you need? And he was very appreciative of that. And then I was like, because you're easy to shop for. And then for the misprints and stuff, I simply Joe was at that point, he didn't give a shit. There was only like 3 or 4 of us left on Sunday. We were back there just behind the table pulling them off individually, or started consolidating them into piles because it was hard to figure out what was left. And
he did that on Saturday too. He let people
yeah
behind once he stopped the regular line.
and the real rush was gone. And I was doing live streaming and saying, all right, which one did you want? Or I was doing live calls or whatever. And then I was just picking up onesies and twosies. But it was no pressure. It was like, hey, do they have any of this? If not, that's cool. I'm like, all right, cool. But I also would not I would not touch the fig until the money was in my PayPal account, because I've been burned before. So, but in the end, I wound up shopping for like 7 people in the end, considering I said I wasn't going to do it at all. But again, it was only after I made sure, after I got mine.
You got to feed yourself first, right?
Yeah.
I'd say the same thing. I mean, I trust some of my local lug people, so I had no issues sort of fronting them money for that. That wasn't a big deal in my mind. But I will say the thing I miss most about CB, there was no poster this year. We didn't get a poster.
He said he didn't have time. He said he just didn't have time, and it is what it is.
Yeah, the one last year was cool. The Chicago one was really just
I didn't get the Chicago
awesome
one.
design.
The pizza.
I feel like it's one of those things like wearing a concert T-shirt that you haven't been to that concert, But plus, I only got so much wall space. It's like I'm not buying the Chicago one, even though I loved it. I thought it was so cool.
That's my problem right now. Is I have last year's Brickfair still in the tube because I don't have room. I got to take some stuff down, rearrange some elements, and then I've got a few other posters I need to put up as well. I mean, I've got my 10th anniversary poster up here on the wall, so that's my one CB wall element. So nice. I feel I'm satisfied for now. But he said there wasn't enough time, and so next year when I actually go to Chicago and not cancel at the last minute like this year, if there's a poster, I'll get it because I was there. I won't feel like a poser. But
if people want to put it up too, it's like it's still a cool design.
Oh, it's an absolutely cool design.
No judgment on anybody that chooses to hang one from a show they did go to. I think they're also cool.
Oh no, you do you, but that's just my own personal preference. So I'm with BC Bricks, and hi. And as somebody who is a bit of a completionist and a power player in the CB market, what are your takes on Joe's inclusion of a higher production rate and variety of figures and all the different conventions going? How, as a completionist, how is this affecting you personally?
I absolutely love it, just because I want as many chances to get the figures I love as I can. I know maybe some people are upset because things might not be as rare, but I honestly think the way he does it, like, because he'll only do certain colors for certain figure. And I feel like it works out. And I feel like it makes it less contentious with everyone, trying to fight over things. Like right now, I know every time we go, we're going to get something good. And I don't know, I just think it was kind of necessary for the growth in the community. So I think it kind of satiates the thirst for misprints. Like, I think it'll be a good day. And I love that he's done this. I think they're amazing for it.
I'm here with Jay Bricks. I'm going to get your opinion as someone who's a bit of a power player in the CB market and a bit of a completionist as well. What is your thoughts on Joe's recent increase in production and the variety and how he's pumping out new things like almost all the time in different colors? Yeah. Has that added any stress to your collecting, or has it relieved it, or what are your thoughts?
It kind of relieved and kind of made me change kind of how I go about collecting recently. I was definitely more of a completionist. If I went to a comic convention like a year ago, I would want one of, this head in every color. But, nowadays I'm getting a little more picky and choosy. There's a lot more available. There's a lot more collectors too. So there's more demand. You have to be more picky and more choosy. I think it's great that, figures are coming back to conventions. And everything's more available. I think it's just better for everyone. And I'm really glad with the direction that everything's gone.
Yeah. Now, you were pretty vocal when he talked about how he was going to move misprints away from CB Day and more to convention space. Have your thoughts changed at all since then, seeing how production has in fact ramped up now over time?
No, because I think there's a good balance with, still being online. We recently had the leftover sale online. CB Day, I heard rumors there's going to be some leftovers of this.
He did say so.
That's going to be out. So, it's just, I think it's a lot more even playing field kind of for everyone. There's definitely incentives to go to conventions. It takes a lot of time, money, and effort. If you can do it, great. But, it's understood, there's people internationally just not reasonable. But, Joe is trying his best. Things are going to be online. So I think this is a good balance. I think we're there.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, I don't want to make this whole thing about CB. I want to talk about K-Town a bit because, man, he had a great drop.
K-Town bricks, 10 to 11 hours. All right. What else?
Where are you from?
Tennessee.
So, since I got you here, how has business been so far?
Really good. This is one of our best shows every year.
That's good. And you got a lot more on display than you did for last year, don't you?
Yeah. We were kind of limited by space, but we got about 4 tables worth of merchandise.
Nice. All right, cool. Thank you very much. He brought out his alchemy figs, and I finally got a fairy fig. I missed the last 2 drops because of life events. Just either my alarm didn't go off or went off at the wrong time or whatever. So I finally got a fairy. He says they're going to reprint more at some point. He's well aware that yellow is a popular color for the fairies. So I would hopefully I can be able to grab one. I grabbed a coral one, which still looked really good.
Yeah, and those pieces might be harder to get now in those colors. So.
Yeah. Coral heads are not a natural color. Yeah, I'm dealing with that right now with the sig fig, but I'm pretty much I got everything I need now. But with K-Town's dropped the Black Knight and the King Arthur, the bunny, the grenade. Those were all phenomenal drops. And
yeah, that Monty Python rabbit was great. I mean, they had some old timey or medieval beer kegs.
Yeah, no, I grabbed those as well.
Those are neat. I'm a beer guy, so
I bought one, but I think I'm going to buy another one, just so I can maybe set up a row of them for a mock. And then I actually wound up buying. I didn't buy his original. Well, I bought his original Lucy, but I didn't buy his original Lucy and Ghoul before, and because I just kept sitting on it, thinking, oh, there'll be more. And sure enough, I missed out on the Ghoul, but I did buy a misprint Ghoul, which is it's pink head to toe. So it's really, really cool. And then I bought a misprint Lucy that's pearl gold, head to toe, which is really, really cool. And then
I love the alchemy prints that he does.
Yeah, and then he had the Fallout.
Keep going.
Also, he also had the Fallout torsos. He had different vaults. He had more than one vault that you could buy from, which was neat. So, I mean, overall, it was just a really good show for customs. I was really excited shopping at the K-Town because I always like talking to Ethan as well, and talked to Vic for a little bit. He was really, really busy, obviously. But we got a
Yeah.
bunch of tiles from him.
I think
and,
people kind of sleep on the K-Town misprint stuff. 'Cause you don't see it as much throughout the year. I think maybe he only does those at that Knights tournament,
believe so.
something. Yeah, but some of those heads look they're really fun on the different colored prints. And
Well,
for me,
yeah,
it was the Berserker figs that he had.
that's what I also got. Was that the with the orc?
And no, it's not an orc. It's like a guy with like blue like base paint, like a barbarian kind of, yeah, like a Viking berserker. Yeah, those are great.
I did find an orc that was really, really cool. I think from his alchemy line, and then I liked it better than the original. I think like these colors better than the original. They look more orcish. It was like a lot of
I
neon.
almost always like the misprints better.
Well, I think people sleep on K-Town too much. I mean, his print quality is so. He's such a technician, and he's very precise in his prints, and they're so clean and they're so detailed, and they blend right in with both Lego and CB and everything else. I mean, they walk that fine line. So I hope they can. I mean, he does well. Obviously, he sells out all the time and stuff. And any medieval mock you see at these conventions tends to have K-Town stuff represented in there somewhere.
I
But
think he's
yeah,
and he did. I think they were a sleeper. The wizard wands. I don't know if you picked up on those. He had the new wizard wands with
yeah.
all the crystals on top.
yeah.
And I told him, I was like, you need to sell those crystals separate because, he bundled them with the wand. I think there was 3 different colors of crystals and 3 different molds. And I was like, I could just envision people doing, caves and, magic kind of stuff. And they want just those little crystals to put on the anti-stud and make cool scenes. He's like, oh, I'll think about it. It's like anything, right? He has one vision. Someone walks up and is like, oh, just sell them in bulk, right? Like,
Well, last year he did he debuted the mermaids, and he did a build a mermaid for Brickfair, which was fun because this way you can just choose your torso, choose your head, choose your hair, choose your tail, and he had several designs of each. So that was a lot of fun.
I grabbed all those last year.
I think my favorite, the jewel of my crown jewel, I'm gonna take it back to CB, is my tracksuit Karen. I don't know if you guys remember this fig, but of all, it was like but those my first 2 picks was the red cannibal enthusiast and just this basic, neutral Miss Neutral. It's a Miss Neutral face with a blonde Karen haircut and a pink tracksuit. And I was like, I gotta have that figure.
Yeah, you got to get like a little Stanley Cup accessory.
That's exactly what I was asking Joe to make. I was like, can you make me a Stanley tumbler, please? But I said, I need a cell phone. I gave her a cigarette, and I gave her a fanny pack when I got home immediately. But that was my favorite. That's the crown jewel, I think, of all the things I got. But also, I got a Brick Arms chainsaw, which I passed on these when they first came out.
Those are nice.
Yep.
And I went through all of them, and I found one that had a trans neon green blade, the chainsaw. So I was like, oh, this is unique. So I think that's my second favorite thing that I got at Brick Fair, despite all these other things I bought. Those are probably my 2 top things, to be honest with you. What
Yeah,
about
they
you?
had a lot of nice molded stuff. Their drinks that they just came out with too, like all different kinds of stuff. Like just fun stuff especially if you're gonna do like a little vignette or something as a mock, you can add some really cool detail with some of those accessories.
I actually got inspired by MFJ Customs, Jonathan, shout out, friend of the pod. He did an amazing job building his apartment, and I want to build a mock of like my room growing up, or a notional idea of my room growing up, because I had a lot of comic stuff on the walls and stuff. So yeah, through the clips, I bought a bunch of the comic cover posters and stuff.
Yeah, those are cool too. Yeah.
So yeah, he inspired me to do that. When I'll do it, who knows? But it's definitely on the back burner. Jeremy, what about you? What are some of the crown jewels of your haul?
I mean, I'd say from CB, I'd go with probably I did the white cannibal, white Louis. I think those were cool. I don't know if I'm an evolving white collector, but I've started to sort of hone in on a few white type figs. So maybe I will end up being a color guy.
Is that how it is?
Some designs look really good, just black with minimal details or white with minimal details. It can it's like Vader, Vader and Stormtroopers.
Yeah. No, it's simple. It's clean. I think again, I've got 3 white CB figs at the moment, so I don't think I'm that deep in it yet. But like I said, I
It's
would say
okay.
those
You
were
can pull out now. It's not too late. We can get you help.
the I don't know. I really like. I got matching, like I said, K-Town misprints for Arthur and the Black Knight. I got like a light blue, and so on the Arthur, it's pretty sweet. The Black Knight, it just has a different feel. And so I was like, I enjoyed those. And then I think if the garage sale and that sort of weird gold coin thing I talked about on the sprue would be my other, just one of those like. I don't think you're ever going to see it unless you probably worked at a factory and it walked out with you. And, I don't know. There could be 50 out there. Who knows? It's not about how many. It just looks cool.
So Jeremy, you're like our biggest connoisseur, if I can say that word. Yeah, it's just that sounds weird. Okay, so, but anyways, you've been around the block. Comparisons to Brick World, what are your thoughts?
So I've done Brick World twice the last 2 years, and then this was 4th Brick Fair. They're very different to me. I will say from the Chicago is very influencer, Lego Master heavy. And so I think that is not my jam. I'm not a big social media flaunt myself kind of person. And so I think the clickiness of, this group all posting their stuff and this group here and this group here, like that's not me and I don't need that personally. But I find that you run into it everywhere you go in Chicago. Seeing some of the Lego Masters there a little bit, at least interesting. I've watched them, nice to see some of their builds. But I think there is definitely a very much big city feel to Chicago, and that obviously goes along with where it is. I think Brick Fair is a little bit more family oriented, a little bit more down to earth feel, a little bit more homegrown grassroots kind of feel where, I don't feel like, people are looking and saying, oh, look at this. And, I think it's much more family friendly. Not that Brick World isn't, but I think it's one where I just get a different feel. It's more relaxed at Brick Fair.
Is it hard to really avoid all the influencer culture stuff while you're walking around? Is everyone walking around with selfie cams and trying to interview and saying you're in my light, please move, or is it just something you notice out of the corner of your eye?
I think it's you notice out of the corner of your eye, and if you happen, and I don't follow a lot of those people on social media for what it's worth, but I think it's like, you get that clickiness where it's like, you even see maybe kids, and I've seen this is where like a kid wants to go up to someone and it's almost like they get the cold shoulder because you're not part of that clique, right? You're not the Star Wars guy or the Clone Wars guy. And like, I think there's a lot of kids out there, especially with the Star Wars, community that really like some of these guys, the YouTubers and stuff. And so I think there's some that are great with kids. I don't think everybody has the same sort of feel. They put themselves out there and they just want to hang out with their similar like-minded, influencers. And I would say, from a build perspective, if we get off the social piece, I think the builds are different, right? I think Chicago, a little bit higher volume of bigger scale builds, meaning, you're going to get some larger mocks. Not that Brick Fair doesn't have large mocks. There's a bunch of large castles. There was some large Star Wars, a large Halo, but I think you get more large mocks out of Brick World Chicago.
Anything bigger than that train?
Yeah, I mean, Chicago when they had the new Hashima was gigantic.
Yeah, we only got like a third of that.
Yeah, I see pictures of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
they only brought a chunk of it over.
Yeah, and I think
that is still big.
Even the even that's what she said. Even the train guys, even the train guys at Brick World, their displays are, just for like the city and the train layouts, they're pretty big too. And so if you're looking for the variety, I think both offer a great variety of mocks, but I do think there's a little bit larger scale that people. I don't know how they get it to Brick World. I'm sure they're coming from the Midwest, but being on the East Coast, Brick Fair makes sense to haul stuff for me.
Well, I'm looking forward
and
to
you had a nice table of stuff, Jeremy. And
yeah, maybe underappreciated and undervalued by some, but I like to build pop culture stuff, and sometimes I steal ideas, and not steal in a negative way, but take my creative license with other great ideas. And we actually had a little Buffalo section, and we had a Cowboys and Aliens 2-table display. It's like, I think over 20 base plates. I had some Muppet stuff that I've taken before, but it always is popular. I did a Back to the Future build. My son helped him with a Lethal Company build. And then my wife actually built a Mosaic this year, and she's never built but like 2 sets in her life. And so, and then it spun into Fick and Bricks space and that stuff. So we had 8 tables for the lug, and there was only 3-4 of us there, and it was fun. It's nice to be with some of the local people and have people check stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, and this was kind of a nice treat when I found out who we were going on with here on the show here, because I had met you in the line for CB and stuff through a brick anthropologist, Marielle, but my son was with me on Sunday, and he saw your Lethal Company stuff, and he was like, "This is Lethal Company," and he doesn't even play the game, but he's like seen videos on it. He's 12.
My son plays, and he saw it and loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like such a cool set, and I don't know if you have a video up on your profile of this, but the little screen that you had in that build was like, it just had such great little details. Like,
Yeah,
I love seeing stuff like that.
And that's where, like, for me locally, I've become the light guy. Like, I've really ventured down the lighting path, and I think lights pull mocks to another level. And so I tend to like brick stuff. But yeah, my son sort of was like, "I'll build something, Dad." And, trying to nudge the 13-year-old to build is a little tough. So I say it was a team effort. But in the end, I was like, "I'm going to put some lights in this for you." He's like, "Okay, whatever." And, there we ended up with all the lights I had the flames for the essentially the engines, and I put a little LCD screen like the control panel. And I mean, I've sourced AV figures, made Lethal Company customs figures and stuff. So like, I mean, it's a mock with custom stuff in it. And just, I think he liked it. He liked the idea of every day he was changing the characters around as if they were getting attacked and stuff like that. So trying to engage the kids into things, that's what he liked to come and do. I'm going to change this around today. And yeah, it was good. So no, I appreciate you checking it out.
Yeah, it was very cool.
All right. Well, I think we've covered as much as we can possibly cover about Brick Fair. Before we wrap this up, this is new, having two non-frequently used guest hosts, whatever. So you got an open Q&A with me. Do you have any questions for me since we're here, or do you have any things you'd like to talk about the podcast, or things you'd like to see come in the future?
So I'll just make a comment with Brickworld. I'm not sure. Did you sign up, Brett, already for Brickworld?
Oh, yes. I re-signed up. I secured my hotel room last year. For those who don't know, I had to back out like within weeks of it happening. I had to cancel my reservations. It really sucked. It was just, death in the family. But this year I'm still ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. When they said they were opening it up in August, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like 10 months away. And then the hotel block, I mean, if you don't get those hotels early, it's either stupid expensive or there's nothing left.
Yep. Well, I have a plan B. I got my hotel room, but my wife realizes that she's like, if we go, this is going to be like a you thing, not like an us hanging out in Chicago thing. And I'm like, well, there'll be times for other things, I think. I don't know. So shaking his head no.
It doesn't seem like that.
It can't be Brickworld all the time, but when the hotel is built on top of the convention center, maybe it can. Yeah. So we'll see. I bought my admission ticket just so I can get into the hotel block and all that stuff. So we're gonna circle back and reevaluate before the deadline for early admission to see if she wants to come along. I like her to come because she's my partner in crime. I don't want to just travel alone.
How about you, Jonny? Brickworld in the future?
This year, and it looks like next year too, is like right in the same week as my wife's birthday. Not that she is a person to make a big deal about her birthday or anything like that, but no, we have two kids. They're both on the autism spectrum, and the idea of like, yeah, guess what? I'm going to take a vacation for your birthday. You get to be by yourself and handle everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping that one day it'll kind of fall outside of those things, or maybe when I'll get the kids interested. I'm hoping to build a mock with them before Brick Fair next year, and bring them to some of the other days and be able to display something that we've all worked on together. So that's a goal. But that's a step one before Brickworld for me. I think that's just going to be the reality.
An interesting twist to have the parent try to get the kids into Lego.
Well, they build plenty of it, but our basement looks like we have this giant table, and it looks like the Lego movie, except it's like these Lego Super Mario sets and all kinds of other things that they've built, and they have a fun just playing pretend games down there with those things. So it's really awesome. But as far as like something to display, it's we're not there yet. So we're trying to see if we can come up with something together.
I'm barely there.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I lucked out last year. I just happened to have something I'd built previously that I brought. I took all the liquor bottles from Eclipse Graphics off of it because I was like, it's a family event. And then brought the rest in. And, that's the only reason I was able to have
Yeah,
something display.
I think that's something interesting, and maybe Jeremy could comment on this a little bit because, getting into the non-public days, it's like you can get in as an exhibitor or you can pay for that ticket, same price or whatever, right, Brett, to get the early entry.
Whether you're displaying or not. Yep.
Yeah, whether you're displaying or not. But I had something that I could have displayed, and I was like, well, I can't be there every day. We had guests in town. Going down the number of days I did was a stretch enough. But then I talked to plenty of people who were like, oh, they had to take their mop with them on Saturday because they couldn't come back on Sunday. And I feel like that's kind of like frowned upon. Like they don't want you to do that, but you can, it sounds like. But maybe, Jeremy, you could talk a little bit more about that as someone who's done a lot of these.
Yeah, I'd say I'd have to look at the rules. I feel like Brick World's stricter on that. And when you agree to display, I think they want you to say it's going to be there through Sunday. I do think Brick Fair gives you the option to remove it Saturday or Sunday, but they don't want you walking out mid-public, right? So they don't want you at, noon on Sunday trying to pack up.
Hazard.
That's a big no-no. But I think if you were like, I'm going to come for the a full day, the private time, bring something, I need a 32 by 32 base plate kind of thing or whatever space you need. And I'm going to bail with it Saturday. I think it depends if you're nervous about leaving expensive stuff on it. That's a different discussion. But I do think there's some wiggle room of taking things in and out for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you got a small build, maybe either probably don't want you to do that with the giant cathedral or something like that.
Yeah. If you just got like a little vignette, you can just take it. No one's going to see it. Table space is barely going to be noticed to be changed. But if you're taking up a whole table, now they got to figure out how to fill that. And that's because honestly, remember, there are people that are not making the cutoff times for whatever reason, or are, they're not getting their mock accepted because it's too big or they don't have enough room left at the time of application. If you were to take up that space and then dip early, that's kind of a discredit to those who may have been able to use that space the entire weekend.
Yeah, right.
So, alrighty. Well, I cannot thank you two enough for coming on here. Despite the fact we're all on the East Coast, it was still a challenge to get the schedule going. I swear one day this is going to get easier, but, I really want to thank you again. You're more than welcome back anytime. Just let me know. And I guess that's about it, unless you guys have something else you want to close with. You good? Any other questions?
Good. It was a lot of fun. It was nice hanging out with you guys.
It was always, like I said, nice chat and meeting new people and nice with a little wrap up. So appreciate you having me.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. If you're interested in supporting the podcast, remember in the show notes, there's a link so you can buy me a coffee. Never obligated, but always appreciated. But if that's all we got, then we're just going to go ahead and take off. Everyone say bye.
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Take
Love
two.
y'all. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Hi, I'm Devin, also known as Chappie Bricks. I'm from Los Angeles, and it took me about 5 hours to get here.
Total LA accent.
BBS Bricks. I'm from Chesterfield, Virginia, and it took about 2.5 hours to get here.
Awesome, thank you.
I am Brooklyn Bricks. I am from New Jersey, and I drove for 5 hours.
Jonny Boombricks, Frederick, Maryland, drove an hour to get here.
Brick Ready Up, Ken, Ohio, 6 hours. I'm Fallout Bricks. My real name's Jackson.
You don't have to say your real name.
I drove like 9.5 hours, 13 hours to get here. Phillips Biggs, upstate New York.
Fig and Bricks.
From?
Buffalo, New York.
So how long it take?
Weird. I feel weird.
I feel weird.
How long did it take you to get here?
We went to Philly first, and it took us 6.5 hours, and another 3 hours down here.
And Belle, you drove?
Yeah, we
So,
drove together.
name-
So
full name?
Belle the Bricks.
Belle the Bricks.
Heck
All
yeah.
right.
Thank you.
Jeremy, Elkkthunder,
Such a cool name.
Buffalo, New York, about 7 hours.
All right.
Cheap Ass Bricks, Philadelphia, PA. I drove 3.5 hours.
Awesome. J Bricks 27. Took me about 3.5 hours to get here.
Hi, brick anthropologist from New York, and it took me 5.5 hours to get here.
Hi, my name is William, also known as Lego Aesthetic. I'm from California near San Francisco, and it took me 5.5 hours on a plane.
Robbie G, I drove here 7 hours and
Hey, I'm BC Bricks. It took me 17.5 hours to get here.
Probably the longest trip.
Yes.
Droid Bait Resurrected. Where I came from? Wait, sorry. Let me just came from your mama's belly. Droid Bait Resurrected. Came from Massachusetts, Boston. Yeah. And it took me an hour and a half because I flew.
Okay.
Sean, Sarconics 4. It took me about 15 minutes to get here, which is great unless you sleep in. And, you know, but we can't complain because I'm saving money on the hotel.
There you go. There you go.
This is Minifig, and I'm from Florida right now. I just moved from Maryland to Florida, and we drove up from Florida. What was that? That was like 2 hours.
Oh my
By
gosh.
the time we got here with the traffic. So.
Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you.
Hello, what's up? I'm Bloomosaurus. I'm from Nashville. I flew. It only took me it was like an hour and a half flight, which was phenomenal.
Nice.
Panda Bricks on Instagram from Pennsylvania, and it took me like 2.5 hours to get here.
Nice.
Alice Bricks from North Carolina, and it took me 5 hours to get here.
I'm Anon Figs from Virginia, and it took me about an hour to get here.
Yo, what's up? This is Left Bricks. I'm from Connecticut, Hartford specifically, and it took, I don't know how long to get here. Many hours, maybe 6. That's a lot for me. I don't know.
It's all a blur. All right, thank you.
Hey, this is the mama from Baltimore, and it took me an hour to get here.
Hi, my name is Brandon. My Instagram handle is Bricksomatic. It took me about 3.5 hours to get here. I'm from Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area.
My name is Sam. My username is Sam the Lego Man 108. I am from the Shenandoah Valley, and it took me about 2 hours to get here.
My name is also Sam. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's about 12-hour drive if I want to take it without tolls, but it's about a 2-hour flight. So.
And on Instagram, you are?
And on Instagram, I'm Fisk Bricks.
There you go.
Hi, my name's Parker, PK Custom Lego. I'm from outside of Chicago, Illinois, but I'm here in DC for the summer, so this was a 30-minute commute for me.
This is Billy Moore, BM4 on Instagram, based out of PA, so it was only about 4-hour drive.
Old Man Collector, Bay Village, Ohio, 5.5 hours.
Thank you. Perfect.
What's up, guys? My name is Austin. This guy here, Brett, awesome dude. I was running into some trouble, some financial trouble. I had some medical bills I had to catch up on. I reached out to him. I asked him to help promote some of my Lego products I was selling. He promoted it. I got the sales. I got the bills taken care of. I appreciate this guy.
The ultimate geek exchange success.
Hell yeah.
Nothing will ever top us.
I love it.
I got fucking goosebumps, man. All right, take care.
I want you on my rack. I want to make you ring. I want you to unwrap. I want to pull your string. Bring me the next shiny new thing.